now we're joined by Tipperary defender Paddy Stapleton to talk about the upcoming Munster Senior Hurling Championship semi-final against Limerick. Paddy, thanks for talking to us.
No matter, Jackie.
You had a recent injury. Can you tell us how things are now in that score?
Yeah, no, I'm kind of back to near perfect now. I just got a chip on the wrist there, so the bone was chipped and kind of took maybe 3-4 weeks to get right, and we didn't know what to start, so playing through it. But now since I've rested, it's fine again, you know, ready to go.
So you've missed a little bit of time, but you're back fully fit now.
Yeah, well, I've played a club match there a couple of weeks ago. Actually, I began training the week before the league final, but obviously wasn't in contention for that.
Yeah.
And then I played a club match, trained some more, played 2 challenge matches for Tip recently, so I'm kind of feeling back to myself again, you know. And after you need a certain amount of time training and match before you feel anywhere right.
Are you a good spectator? I mean, it was such a big day against Kilkenny. To miss out on something like that, Paddy.
Well, I wouldn't be a great spectator now. I mean, you can't feel sorry for yourself in that situation. Everyone would love to play, but there's people who weren't tagged for the day that you know didn't have a chance either. So it was just tough watching it more than anything else. And you know the guys played quite well, but we're still disappointed. I'm very disappointed that we didn't close it out in the day. But I think, like throughout the league, we lost a few at one stage, and you just have to be learning from it. And if you're not learning from it, you're just going to go through the same experiences, which isn't really what you want to be doing.
We spoke to Eamon inside, and he was talking about, you know, during those few games, the Galway game, the Kilkenny game, the Clare game, when things weren't going according to plan, how important was it for players to hear Eamon consistently accentuating the positive that things are going well, just not getting the results, but things are going well in training?
Yeah, and they were, and we just weren't transforming at the time, you know. But I would have said a lot of the reason we probably weren't playing well is, and unfortunately for our backman, we were conceding a lot of goals. So I mean, conceding 3, 4, 5 goals in matches, it's pretty impossible to win them matches. So you're kind of affecting the rest of the team as well, because you're playing catch up for the whole match. So you know, the league is the league. It's about learning. It's about learning new players, and if you get to the final, it's about winning it. Okay, but we knew at the time, look, there's a long time to go yet. There's a long time to kind of turn around for championship, and thankfully, you know, we looked to have turned a little bit in our form, came up a bit.
As an experienced player, Paddy, can you describe the difference in mentality between league and championship? It's like night and day, isn't it? Really? It's
night and day. I mean, down to your preparation. Like the week of a league match, you're training as if it's pre-season. You know, I mean, you want to win the match the weekend, but not at the expense of how your fitness levels are going to be come June, July, August, September. So obviously now you're tapering down because you want to be fresh for these matches. So we know, and every other team knows that the league can be very inconsistent, especially now when there's so many teams in it, or so little teams in it, and that they're all fairly much on one level. That if one team does a hard block of training in 1 week and the other team hasn't, then you know it's going to be very difficult for the team going through the tough training. So championship, you're tapering down, you're getting ready for the big one, and you know, mentally as much as physically you're set for it.
Do you think Tipperary have something to prove this summer?
I think they have. I mean, no more than to ourselves. Like, there's nobody more disappointed with how we went in the last year or two than we are. You know, and it's not acceptable for the effort you put in. It's not acceptable for the players we have. We go out and you know, lose 2 championship matches in a row.
Because it was very different for you guys last year to be finishing up in July. It must have been strange to try and put down the rest of the summer then. Very strange.
And luckily, you know, most of us had club action, but I'm sure the people who didn't have club action, it was tougher again for them. But it kind of, you know, sometimes you're thinking, God, it's tough sometimes to be doing all the training we're doing, but at the end of the day, have them few months off during the summer, it's tough, and you realise how lucky you are to be playing the jersey.
Just, you know, back to 12 months ago when we went to Limerick, and I think everyone was going down with maybe an inflated sense of expectation. The fact that what happened last year happened, how can that focus the players this time around?
I suppose you can look for the last 2 years more than anything.
Yeah.
I mean, 2 years ago we should have been bet.
Yeah.
You know, let's be honest. And last year we were bet by a hungrier, better team on the day. Like, they wanted it more, and their game plan was better than ours, and they hurled a lot better than us on the day. We hurled for about 10 minutes on the day, you know, and out-fought and outclassed other than that. So, like, we're going down knowing, well, it's our worst, they're coming up, and we know what's coming against us. So, I mean, there's no complacency, there's just a job to do, and we have to go out and do it. And as I was talking earlier to some other people, there's probably 8 teams think they can get to the All-Ireland final, you know, and so Limerick are one of those, and so are we.
I think one or two or three even of the Limerick players have said that what happened with them and losing their joint manager Donald O'Grady doesn't seem to have derailed them in any way. In fact, it could galvanise them.
Well, you'd have to agree with that. Like, I mean, they had a joint manager, so their structures aren't going to change.
Yeah.
The structures are obviously agreed between the two managers. So you go about business in the very same way. Now you will miss obviously one vice, but they have more or less the same team as they had last year. They might have a couple in and out, and they come with no shortage of confidence, knowing that they've had their league, and as we talked about, the league and championship are vastly different. So I mean, it's not going to really cross their mind what went on last year and what's going on this year.
How much are you looking forward to this summer?
Can't wait. Obviously, summer is in, all is happening. And that's where you want to be. The league, what you've done in the league, what you've done pre-season, it's all for what's coming now. And like that's why you do. Even as a club player, that's what you want. You want that summer day, ball hopping, and you're sharp, you're fresh, you're injury free, and you just do exactly what you love. And that's why we're here.
Because for the past couple of years, Paddy, you've had little knocks and niggles along the way. To go into a season fresh and ready to go must be a great thing for you.
Yeah, it's nicer now because last year I suppose I got a bit of a break in the hand as well, so
yeah.
making a habit of it. But look, I'm just happy to be there. There's a lot of people that don't get the chance that we do, and when you get injuries you kind of have to just stay positive, you know what I mean? I'm getting that bit older, probably maybe susceptible to a few injuries, so you just be happy that you're actually in around it and not complaining that I got a knock or I got an injury. Get over that, get back, get fresh, and hopefully you'll be able to play a bit of hurling.
Finally, Paddy, I think you delivered a message earlier on in the year that the last time Tipperary won the All-Ireland was obviously 4 years ago, but that's history now. It's time for this group of players to press on and create their own identity again.
Well, I think that's very clear to see. I mean, there's a lot changed in the hurling landscape, let alone in Tipperary hurling in the last 4 years. I mean, what have we done 4 years ago? Everybody's moved on their stage of life. Like I'd have been an experienced chap 4 or 5 years ago, and now I'd be coming up towards the latter end of my career. So, like, if anybody to think what happened 4 years ago and comparing, it's still being compared, but I think that's foolish to people, to compare things that happened 4 years ago to now. Just the players are different, they're at a different stage of their career. The other teams have completely different teams. Like Clare, is there anybody on their team that was on in 2010? One or two perhaps,
yeah.
So like, how would you compare that to what's happening now? I couldn't.
I wish you the very, very best of luck. Thanks for your time.
No bother.